I remember on the first day I was training all these villagers, and only one of them in the orange shirt was like a half mason. Everybody else was completely raw. And I was teaching them how we are going to build this fort. So everybody was listening quite attentively, and this mason in the orange shirt, Muthulingam, he was standing right at the back and smirking away. So I said, Muthu, do you have something to share? He's like, no, nothing. I said, no, please, why don't you share? So he came up to the front in his swagger, and he said, you are very young in this construction trade. So I said, yes, I know most of you are elder than me, and my grandfather was a mason, my father is a mason, I am a mason, and for the last 37 years, we have been using 15 mm of cement mortar. And you are trying to tell me that you are going to build this gigantic roof with 1 mm of mortar, and that to soil. So I said, so Muthu, why don't you do what you've always done? So very confidently he picks up this brick, slaps on 15 mm of mortar on it, and sticks it to the course that I had put on the template, the first course. And the brick fell. And he does it again, and the brick fell. And he does it 7 times over and over again. By the 7th time, he's totally confused and slightly embarrassed. He turns around and says, I don't understand. We've been using this thickness and cement. I've used a very rich cement mortar. It's 1-3. Why isn't it working? So these are moments for us to introduce scientific knowledge into their traditional wisdom. And I said, Muthu, how many minutes are you dropping your brick in the bucket of water before you pick it up? So he's like, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I said, no, it's 10 minutes. You dip the brick in the bucket and then you go for a little stroll. You come back after 10 minutes, the brick is totally saturated. He's like, yeah, that's okay. So I said, firstly, that brick is a fired brick, which means the clay content of the brick has been fired and transformed into ceramic. It's not even clay anymore. Secondly, you're dipping it for 10 minutes, which means the brick is totally saturated by the time you pick it up in your hand. And then you have to slap on your 15 mm of cement mortar. You don't have any other choice, and keep building stacks of bricks one above the other. Over here, what are we doing? This brick is not fired, which means that clay is clay, and the mortar is clay mortar. You dip it in the bucket for a split second, only to initiate a capillary action on the surface, and then as soon as you put this clay mortar on it, the clay content in the mortar and the clay content in the brick are going to stick, and you're never going to be able to pull them apart. I was actually thinking on the first day that these people are going to take forever to make this roof. Once we started, once they were convinced, and then of course Muthulingam became like the most confident mason you've ever seen. I enjoyed working with him. We finished building the whole roof. I was thinking it's going to take like 6-7 months. We finished it in 9 weeks. Just a proper training and just bringing them onto your side, giving them a sense of ownership, imparting confidence and dignity in the process. I've been asked this question many times, that why did I not accept a green rating for this building? The answer is that the agency who gives green rating assessed Sharanam, studied it thoroughly, and came back to me and said that, Trupti, we don't have a green rating for you, because we give a 5-star rating for buildings that score 90 plus, and your building is scoring 104 out of 100. We don't have a category for this score, because you've scored 4 additional points for innovation. I believe that green building is not a finished product that can be quantitatively evaluated through carbon emissions and number crunching and energy audits alone. It is a qualitative process of thinking, building, that makes it green. This building is 40% cheaper than a conventional RCC frame, 50% cheaper than a RCC bolt, and only a quarter of the cost of a conventional brick bolt. In terms of its environmental cost, it is only 10% the cost of a conventional building. And in terms of its impact on people, as I said, hundreds of families have already participated in this, and it continues to impact thousands of others, even today. It has been chosen, you can see Muthulingam standing there with the first course of bricks. It has been chosen by the United Nations Environment Programme as a model for sustainable development in India. I'm reminded of a few lines of a poetry which I read a few years ago, which encapsulate the spirit of the green building. It says, "This world was not built with random bricks of chance. A blind God is not destiny's architect. A conscious power has drawn the plan of life. There is a meaning in each curve and line. It is an architecture high and grand, by many named and nameless masons built, in which unseen hands obey the unseen."